Like, you understand how important it is. You know, I watch a lot of stuff on Deion Sanders, and he's so motivating on
a complete and total failure of leadership from the federal government.
If anyone asks how it's going in the black community, you tell them we're rising. And welcome back to the Brian Clay Chronicles. Let me tell you a story. I was a freshman at Lemoyne-Owen, and my very, very first internship was with our illustrious Judge Loyce, Lambert, Ryan. How you doing, dear?
I'm doing wonderful.
One of my favorite AKAs. And let me share this with you, Judge. I call it the all-star group of public defenders. You were with the late Rita Sotz, Gwen Brooks, Tarek Sugarman, Ernestine Doris. It was all of you all. And it was for a freshman at that time, 18 years old. It was during the Warden administration when he was chief public defender. It was so wonderful because you all were so patient with me. And I remember getting on your nerves, wanting to follow you to the various courtrooms. And now you're a judge. Tell us a little bit about your court.
Well, I'm the judge of General Sessions Division 15, the criminal division. I have a general criminal docket, meaning I handle felony preliminary matters, felony arraignments, and misdemeanors. Mm-hmm. And we have, of course, trials on misdemeanors, but only felony preliminary matters.
Right.
And you were not worrying me.
I wasn't.
You're telling my age and yours. That was back in 1980, in the 80s.
Yes, 87, 88.
Yes.
We had a tragedy, Judge, with Pastor Atura Williams-Eason, and I had the pleasure of meeting the family today at a press conference at the NAACP. Without going into detail and without politicizing that tragic killing of the good pastor, how do you relate to a community whose economic value system seems to be deteriorating, and how crime is more of a public health issue than we want to admit?
I prefer not to relate that in regards to that charging of the individual, because they will be on my docket, I've learned, in the morning.
Oh, okay.
But in regards to the public health issue, I think it's wonderful now that we have recognized that gun violence is a public health issue. Because it has so many components. It's not just the killing or death, but it's the need for the use of guns. It's the attraction to that level of violence. It's the inability to control one's behavior. So I think we know that it was a problem. But now with the recognition of being a public health issue, possibly more monies can be put into communities to deal with these issues of aggression.
We have some of the finest legal minds in the country that are here right now with the National Bar Association. You're very active with that. How do we engage some of those individuals, Ben Crump, and we're just using him as an example, to get ideas on how to address innovative ideas in the courtroom?
Well, it's interesting you say that. Today, I was with a group of judges in City Hall interacting with teens in our youth project.
Oh, wow.
Everywhere the judges go, whether it's in a foreign country or the state or a city we meet, they always have a component where they talk to youth, to kids. And it starts with dialogue and conversation. And it also starts with intellectual desire to learn more by the legal community, by the judges. What I've learned I'm a seasoned lawyer.
Yes, you are.
I've learned that I don't know all the new innovations. I give respect to the millennials or the generation that comes behind me and what they've learned, and try to mesh that with what I know, and try to come up with an idea about what needs to be done to better the system. That has been a concern of mine and a focus of mine pre-pandemic,
Right.
about the administration of justice. I've been on the bench for 22 years, so I know how to run a courtroom. I know the law, and I studied the law, and I love the law. But what I came to realize many years ago is the administration of justice, dealing with issues of innovation, such as you're saying, is really important to guarantee a constitutional right of an individual. If you do not have adequate access, the pandemic was a prime example, that it was, a monkey wrench thrown into the
Right,
processes.
right.
So we had to pivot. As I hate the word pivot because it means you're just slightly turning, but we had to spin this completely around.
Right.
Had to do everything differently. We had to take care of so many people in the processes, the inmates, the jail, the staffing, and so we really had to do it swiftly. And initially we thought we were a little ahead because we had started working on some innovations in the criminal courts, dealing with release and determining the issues or the items that should be considered in our release eligibility or release assessment tool. We're already working on that, and have been working on that for about a couple of years. That was in February. In March, it started. It hit March, and we had our first judges meeting the first Sunday in March. We met on a Sunday because we were like, what are we going to do? And the lead commissioner at the time and the other judicial commissioners I was supervising, we looked at the document we were using. So it started. And then the question became with contact and admission to the jail and the movement of the virus and learning more about the virus. So we were able to do some innovative work. Some of the commissioners, they were younger. They said, Judge, we could do this virtually. We had some virtual options already, closed circuit for video arraignments. So it would not have to be so much inmate movement, and each courtroom is equipped with that. But then we started talking about police officers coming into the building. We started talking about affidavits of complaint, individuals being interviewed in the jail by pretrial services, the clerk's office getting the documents in the paper. We were afraid to touch paper. So, so we started looking at our situation, and we had to evolve very quickly. And so, so this was in March, and then it started exploding and getting larger and larger. We had to shut down visitations in the jail because people were having contact visits and bringing it to the jail. So it's just, we evolved, and I must say the administration of justice took a hit because we were too slow from the beginning.
Right.
We were not looking futuristically to what we needed to be doing, and so we were pushed right into it, and even now we're ever evolving.
Right.
The General Sessions Criminal Court divisions never closed during the pandemic.
I didn't know that.
We were ordered by the Supreme Court to be open because we had inmates in jail. We had people that were constantly being brought into jail. We had people in custody, so we could not close by Supreme Court order. We only closed 2 days,
Right.
maybe 3 days, for a snow day, and when the water did not work in the building.
Wow.
And even on those days, we came up with innovations. First day, we made sure everyone got arraigned, give notice of their charges and what their bonds were. That was done virtually. And then right behind the snow day became the water day. So we had to say, wait a minute, these people have been reset. They're still in custody for 2 or 3 days, but now we're at a point where they're sitting in jail and they are yet to be able to go to court because the courts were closed because of the problems with the water supply.
Look into that camera right there and tell Memphis why we are going to re-elect Loyce Lambert Ryan again to the bench.
My name is Loyce Lambert Ryan, and I've been your judge for the last 22 years here in Shelby County. As you've heard from my conversation, I'm not stagnant. I am committed to you. I'm committed to the citizens of this county. I'm committed to the administration of justice. and I'd like to ask for your vote. I started out in 1985, and each year I've grown in the practice of law, and I've grown as your servant. Please allow me to continue to serve you. I'm Loyce Lambert Ryan, and I'm your judge in General Sessions Division 15. Please go out and vote.
One of my favorite AKAs. Next, we have Judge Mark Ward. You'll come back on the Brian Clay Chronicles, right?
Please, I would love to, and thank you for having me.
Oh, no,
I
it's been a
appreciate you
pleasure.
so very much.
We'll be right back right after this. Bye-bye.